The LA Times mulls the Dodgers' chances and comes up with nothing new to say. UCLA's newest football recruit signals a drastic break from Chip Kelly's offense. And a longtime columnist, one I actually had respect for, has passed away. We're going to talk a lot about TJ Simers. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos morning report. And so it is June 4th, 2024. I am back in Southern Illinois, where you can just smell the passive aggressiveness. And by the way, I want to congratulate everybody in Slime Diego who falsely accused Shohei Ohtani of gambling. I want to, in particular, congratulate your Padres for having a player, Tucupita Marcano, get suspended for life for gambling on baseball. Yes, Marcano was kind of like Pete Rose, except for, of course, the hitting and winning part. Very much typical of Slime Diego. You've done yourself the way you should once again, scumbags. Slime Diego, very much like the stain in the taint of everybody's underwear that they don't want to admit they have. But I digress. Do you like being in the know about LA sports? Well, if you do, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. Now, before we go through the news and notes, a very quick look at the scoreboard. There were no games involving teams in LA yesterday. Hope you got lucky. And in the meantime, today, the Dodgers are in Pittsburgh at 3:40. Tyler Glasnow is 6-3 with a 3.04 ERA. Jared Jones, 3-5 with 3.55 ERA. Now, as for the news, I'm starting to think that the LA Times have a new sports editor named Captain Obvious, because they ran an article asking if anyone is convinced that the Dodgers will win it in October. No, we're not. Of course we're not. We've got the recent history to back us up. So thank you for asking, guys. Well played. Thank you for taking my couple of bucks so I can buy that increasingly thinning pile of paper to have you tell me stuff that I already know. We already know what the Dodgers have to address, and hopefully they will. For example, who starts in the playoffs? Well, we know about Tyler Glasnow. We believe Yoshinobu Yamamoto's probably in that too. If it were me, I wish I had at least two super duper elite starters, like back in the day when the Arizona Diamondbacks had Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling. They don't have that. So instead, they're probably going to go with a four-man rotation. But there's too many variables involved. We haven't seen what Clayton Kershaw has left. We haven't seen if Dustin May will be able to pitch, let alone in the playoffs. There are far too many variables to be able to say, yeah, I know what they're going to have. But we know that. We as Dodger fans knew that. We didn't need to be reminded of it. All I can tell you is I have way more faith in the starting pitching now than I did last year because they don't have Lance Lynn. And by the way, yes, LA Times, we on this channel, we Dodger fans, we have been talking for weeks about the lower half of that lineup. We already knew. And it bothers the hell out of me as a former scribe. The LA Times has not committed themselves to the following mantra. Tell me something I don't know. Tell me something I don't know. It's literally one of the most basic facets of journalism. You pay to go informed. I'm not being informed by you. Why am I paying you? Right? You're telling us things we already know. More than anything, LA Times, that is why you're struggling. And that's the memo. Max Muncy's rehab has been completely shut down. He tried to swing a bat, which isn't supposed to be painful, only it was. So yeah, stopping his rehab might be a good idea until something that basic doesn't hurt. He's been out since mid-May. In his stead, Kike Hernandez has been getting most of the playing time at third base, only that hasn't been an answer. He's pretty much an automatic out, hitting 198. Saturday's victory for the Dodgers over Colorado, by the way, marked the first time this season that Dave Roberts was able to utilize his preferred bullpen lineup from innings 7 through 9. Daniel Hudson to Blake Trinan, and finally closer Evan Phillips. Now, granted, it's the Rockies, but if that's going to be the way that they get wins, have a starter get them through 6, give the ball to those 3, and just cruise on in, yeah, I can see being confident in that. Meanwhile, The Athletic has updated its prospect rankings and listed single-A outfielder Josue De Paula. They lifted him up to 16th overall, where he was 25th at the start of the year. Now look, there's obviously a lot of projection going on from single A to the bigs, what they think could happen, and even more so when you're a teenager. But the belief is De Paula could be a 25-plus home run guy in the majors. Meanwhile, pitcher River Ryan has slipped from 33rd to 45th, but let's be real, he should slip. He hasn't even pitched this year due to shoulder fatigue. Now, he is expected to return to the mound this month, so we'll see where he stands then. And catcher Dalton Rushing has leaped from 86th ranked prospect all the way up to 50th. He is making contact a lot. The scribe for The Athletic, believes something that I've been saying about him a lot, though. There's no place for him in LA. Not trying to be mean, not trying to pour water all over his future so he can slip. There's no place. Catcher is set with Will Smith. He can't play first base. That's set with Freddie Freeman. Nowhere in the outfield. If I were the Dodgers, I would consider him at third base. Just saying. But if they don't, there's no place for him in LA. So don't be surprised if you see his name being bandied about lots of times in trade conversations in the next couple of months. Tight end Dylan Sims is a 3-star recruit from Queen Creek in Arizona, and he is committed to play college ball for UCLA. He is the 54th ranked tight end in the nation for the class of 2025, the 9th overall prospect in Arizona. Now, this recruit, though, is pretty important because it signals a legit change for UCLA's offense, as opposed to when Chip Kelly ran the team, and of course they were always coming out in the spread and this, that, and the other. We've been talking about this a lot ever since Chip Kelly decided to leave to go be an assistant at Ohio State. The more Deshaun Foster shows everybody, hey, I'm not Chip Kelly, the better off he's going to be, the more leeway he gets as he tries to build a program over at UCLA. The expectation is now that the Bruins offense will include double tight end formations a lot, because there's another recruit that they landed recently named Noah Flores. If it were a competition between Sims and Flores, you would probably at the start give the nod to Flores because he's about 25 pounds heavier. But scouts say Sims is going to add to the passing game, even in a vertical passing game. Apparently, he's got range. And there have been coaches who have hinted that the Bruins want to use 12 personnel a lot. Now, you might say, doesn't everybody run the spread? And that's kind of true. But the New England Patriots a few years ago really turned me into a believer in 12 personnel. Back when they had Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski. I will admit to you that we're going to be hoping that neither of the Bruins tight ends turns out to be a murderer, but you can't have everything. You have seen me talk a lot of crap about the scribes on this program, and the reason primarily is twofold. One, they're either using their journalism gig to try to, as a springboard, so they could land on First Take or Undisputed or some other screaming, bloated sports writer show. Or two, they simply don't have the wit to generate interest in copy. I remember back in the day, those first times when the San Bernardino Sun, the paper I worked for, would assign me to either a Dodgers game or a Lakers game. The scribes I sat next to were as important to me as the players because they had that old school, colorful journalist vibe to them. Some of them smoked. All of them had very coarse senses of humor. And you had to have gallows humor if you were a scribe back then, because you were going to get yelled at by Tommy Lasorda virtually every day. So you had to be thin-skinned. They had nicknames like Pig and Beast. They're very colorful guys. And there was also this columnist, TJ. Now, TJ Simers smeared his abrasive sense of humor all over the pages of the LA Times and the Orange County Register, long before sarcasm was seen as a way to get into ESPN. Simers was this obese outlaw in a wrinkled dress shirt. I'll definitely always remember that. And a lot of the scribes these days, the thing that really gets me, how journalism has changed. A lot of the scribes these days don't know how to approach an athlete. They just beat around the bush with their questions. A question that could only take like 5 seconds will take about a minute and a half. And by that time, the athlete's like, what the hell are you talking about, man? Right? Simers got to the point, and if he hurt your feelings in the process, he straight up didn't care. Simers was the guy who kept asking David Beckham after just a couple of weeks with the LA Galaxy, if you're this important, why haven't you scored yet? He had the guts to do that to one of the biggest international superstars in sports. Simers, and obviously I'm a Galaxy fan. I know why Beckham wouldn't score every game. He was a midfielder. But Simers had the guts to say, look, you're supposed to carry the league. Where's the goals? Simers was arguably the first scribe out there to truly call out former Dodger owners Frank and Jamie McCourt on their BS, on their Chamber of Commerce approach to owning the Dodgers, and he called Jamie, quote, the screaming meanie, unquote. And this was before she was caught cheating on her husband. Allegedly. Earlier, we talked about how the LA Times told us nothing new about the Dodgers' postseason chances. You know who would have called out that for bad journalism? TJ Simers. TJ would have been the one to go right to print and go, could you given us a little bit more information, please, to work with? Now, I will grant that if you are young and you fancy yourself a potential journalist, God help you if you do, I'm not saying that you should be like TJ Simers, because if you tried, it would look like shtick. It would look like an act. That was who TJ was when he was on the clock. It would look like around the horn. Which is ironic because TJ Simers actually did wind up becoming a regular on Around the Horn. Only the punchline in his case is it didn't work there. It didn't work on TV. It didn't translate. And if I had to guess, the reason that it didn't translate is ESPN wants their sports pundits to act like Carrot Top. TJ Simers was not a prop comic. He was an old school cynical journalist, and that influenced me. And it influenced me not because I would look to be disrespectful by going into a locker room, but like TJ Simers, my questions became more direct, less beat around the bush. You want to know something about pro athletes? You really want to know? If you treat a professional athlete like an adult and you ask them a respectful, direct question, you're going to get a decent answer, more likely than not. You're not going to get some gobbledygook word salad that you hear from politicians. Athletes will respect you if you respect them first. Of course, TJ had trouble with the respect part. By the way, which is what made me laugh my ass off when I was around him. It's not easy to make me laugh. His villainy always made me laugh. But that same villainy held our teams to account. And I loved him for it. So TJ Simers, he died at the age of 73 on Sunday. The guy had a brain tumor. R.I.P. TJ. You will, in fact, be missed by the scribes, if not the readers. Five-star safety Trey McNutt of Cleveland had an official visit with his family over at USC. Now, to be clear, McNutt said he had a great time, but he's hedging his bets. He said the Trojans, quote, set the tone, unquote, and that they were a realistic option that impressed his mom. But he is from Ohio. I think Ohio State is going to have a say in this. There's a mini-series on FX on former Clippers owner Donald Sterling. Now look, if I didn't even watch Winning Time, I am not going to watch Clipped. I'm not. If I wasn't that interested to watch a docudrama on the Showtime Lakers, I'm not interested. Oh, Donald Sterling, did you know he was a bigot? No. I'm not going to watch it. I know. Oh, he was a slumlord. No kidding. And yes, as a final note, social media is already claiming that legendary Dortmund midfielder Marco Reus to the Galaxy is a done deal. It's not. Be patient. Do not trust the foreign soccer press. They are all about rumors. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Do you actually have faith in the Dodgers postseason this time? And if so, maybe you could come up with a different reason than the LA Times, right? Let me know about it. Do you believe UCLA's offense is going to do a complete reversal from the years of Chip Kelly? And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.